Hi everyone, this is John Shepard, and welcome to my presentation for a social enterprise to address affordable housing, create basically a new housing product and market here in my hometown of Colorado Springs. So Colorado Springs was founded in 1872, has a metro population of just around 700,000 or so, depending on who you ask and how you slice it. It is an extremely large land area, in fact 40 square miles bigger than Denver, with much less than half the population, so it's a very spread out area. And we're right at the foot of the front range, or the eastern range of the Rocky Mountains. There's Pikes Peak, which is literally in our backyard right there. Colorado Springs is unique in that it is a highly a military town. There are 5 major military installations here in town, and over 240 civilian defense contractors. 25% of the population at any given time is active duty military or civilian defense employees, and that's probably about the highest of anywhere in the country. They're also unique in that we have at least somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 nonprofits. No one knows for sure because the number changes all the time, but there are a lot. As most of you know by reputation, this is the home for Focus on the Family. It's their headquarters there in the lower right of the screen. And over 100 other international Christian ministries are headquartered here in Colorado Springs. Headquartered here, but all doing work outside of this area. There are also over 400 churches here in Colorado Springs, which is rather unique for the population. Some of the largest mega churches in the country are here as well. This one in the picture is New Life Church, somewhat infamous for being Ted Haggart's former church, and one of the largest in the area. Also, Colorado Springs markets itself, since it is the home for the U.S. Olympic Committee, has been for several years, and several major U.S. sports committees are located here in town. Colorado Springs brands itself as Olympic City, USA, and we're in the process of building a Olympic museum here in downtown right now. So there's a fair amount going on. Economically, Colorado Springs, as you can see on the right there, has last 2 years ago a unemployment rate of about 3.5%. It has dropped since then. There are some areas, professions and industries where the unemployment rate is far less than 2%. These are historic lows, almost in some ways problematic. The one that's more interesting is the one on the left. If you can't read it well, it basically shows that in the past 15 years, the entire economic makeup of Colorado Springs has been completely inverted. We've lost 20,000 jobs in the manufacturing and information technology areas and added about 25,000 jobs in social services, education, hospitality, and retail. So lost all of our economic base at the high end and replaced it with a essentially low or mid-range salary-based workforce, which is a factor in what's happening in Colorado Springs, a major one. Excuse me. By population, Colorado Springs is not a very diverse town. As you can see, we are over 70% white and not very racially diverse or integrated. Basically conservative and white, about as much as it gets. Community needs, as expressed by essentially, we have a system in town called the 211 system, where people can call in and request social assistance with anything. And these are tracked by the local United Way, which runs that call center. The top community needs expressed for the past several years have been all related to housing, rent, utilities, shelter, far and above any other particular category of needs being expressed or unmet, as you can see here. The factor of house cost burden, which we'll talk about in a second, is reflected in this little graph here. 50% of renters in Colorado Springs are paying more than 30% of their income. In fact, it's much higher than 30%. Most of those people are paying upwards of 50% of their income for housing costs. That also, there's a high percentage of homeowners that are also paying above 30% of their income towards housing costs, and HUD defines that as being house cost burdened. They may not be homeless, but they are definitely vulnerable because of the level of cost. So housing cost burden is, again, 30% is determined by HUD, 30% of your household income for rent and utilities, or housing costs including utilities. Currently, the Colorado minimum wage is $10.20 an hour. The average rent for a 3-bedroom apartment in Colorado Springs last week was the $13.69 that you see there. That's a 77% of a minimum wage income, obviously not sustainable. So the 30% cost burden requires a much higher income than that, and the numbers are there. Rent needs to be much less than half of what's currently the average to get below the burden for most working poor families. So what kind of BAM or microfinance model is likely to produce economic transformation? Well, in conclusion, from what we've just said, I would say that Colorado Springs is experiencing historically low unemployment. Our wage base has been inverted. The greatest expressed need is for housing-related assistance. 50% of rental households are cost burdened, and Colorado Springs is experiencing a severe shortage of housing of all types, especially housing that's affordable for the incomes that the local economy is producing. What will produce income in a community? That was a key question asked of this particular assignment. I'm going to suggest that this is the wrong question relative to Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs is not in need of additional income opportunities, at least in the manner implied by the question. We don't need more employment. We have plenty of it, even for minimally skilled workers. However, what Colorado Springs does need is safe, affordable housing that can be obtained at income levels that the economy is producing. Therefore, I'm proposing a solution that can provide both solutions for Colorado Springs simultaneously. What would that be? I'm proposing a BAM or microfinance model. Well, as the question says, is likely to produce economic transformation as for the community as a whole. That would be affordable home ownership. Not just affordable housing, but home ownership. It's key because renting does not do anything to alleviate poverty in the long term. It may shelter you, but it's not a solution for real community transformation. As Tom DeWeese here from the American Policy Center says, you can read the quotes here, simply working a job and paying for one's daily needs does not build wealth, and it does little to make citizens independent to fulfill their dreams. Yet providing jobs has become the most advocated and most wrong-headed method of eradicating poverty. It's a strong statement, but there's, I think, some truth to that. In my case, I've been studying this problem here ever since I moved to Colorado Springs about 4.5 years ago. I've been working with an agency, many of you know, Family Promise, as I've been working with them. I did my collaborative project with this MAGDJ program with Family Promise in helping them finalize the design and write-up of their own affordable housing program, refurbishing mobile homes. I've conducted interviews and personal conversations with several key people in the city, Jonathan Liebert, head of the Better Business Bureau and the new Colorado Institute for Social Impact, Cindy Aubrey, the CEO of Pikes Peak United Way, and I've had many other meetings and conversations. So I think I know something of what I'm discussing here. So what I'm proposing is to create a BAM business that constructs and sells alternative housing models with prices between $50,000 and $100,000. This is much less than half of the current build cost for a single apartment unit or a single family home. And in essence, by doing so, we'll create a whole new housing market that currently does not exist. These pictures on the screen are just a random sampling of the types of things that could fit in that kind of model. There are literally scores, if not hundreds, of types of models, container homes and other types of things being developed that could be potentially used for this kind of a market, existing or design of your own. There is a company here in town called Tumbleweed Tiny House Company, which is one of the largest manufacturers of tiny homes, I believe, in the world. But they sell exclusively single units, one at a time, for the second home market. Basically, people who want to have a house or a ski cabin in the mountains, but don't want to or can't afford to pay the $1 million it would cost to actually have one or build one. So they're making good money selling basically to the wealthy at this point, and not a lot has been done to create a new affordable housing market with these things. And so I'm proposing that our model would explore the use of alternative housing concepts to address a urgent market need that would really bring community transformation here in Colorado Springs for affordable housing. Thanks for listening.